this can't be fixed. Worthless. Junk. Oh well. Time for some modding.
Mongoose Jake here with a different kind of video where I'm going to show you how to remove a piece such as this that is solvent welded on. I'm going to be using a Busby snipe as an example here, and my method is to use boiling water or simmering water, and that will typically by itself be enough to break the solvent weld, which for those of you who don't know, solvent weld is where they use acetone in the process of putting a couple pieces of plastic together and actually melts it together to create a bond. Normally this bond is actually much stronger than typical glues, and it makes for a very secure attachment, but it makes it a pain to try to get a blaster apart to mod, which in this case this snipe is going to get a spring upgrade as well as a brass breech. And I have to get this apart. Now, I've done this a few times, and with some snipes they have a little bit of solvent welding and some have a tremendous amount. And to help, you can actually use the whole property of expansion and contraction with different temperatures of water. I have ice water in the mixing bowl on the left, and I have, of course, the simmering water here on the right. And you can go back and forth and do this as much as possible, as many times as needed, to produce a point where you'll actually be able to move the part enough to remove it. So here we go with going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you just do this as many times as needed. Sometimes this can happen only a few times. Other times you will actually have to do this for 20 or 30 minutes. And in my experience, there's zero ways of knowing how bad the solvent weld is until afterwards. And this one was actually really bad, which I'll show towards the end of the video. But we're going to keep going back and forth with this until you actually have some movement in the part. And then once you get a little bit of movement in the part, you can actually just keep it in the hot water. And once the simmering to boiling water will get underneath and get in between the two pieces, it will start to get the plastic to become soft, and as soon as the plastic starts to become soft, you will actually be able to remove the part, which takes me quite a few tries, and I actually do stop filming and then come back to it later, because this one was probably the worst example I've ever had, and when we get to it I will show exactly how much solvent weld was on this. It was enough that I actually had some of the blue plastic onto the orange barrel ring and some of the orange plastic from the orange barrel ring on the blue shell. But this is, I'm skipping ahead to the final little portion here where it does finally break free. And as you see, I actually even had to turn up the heat of the water to get to a full boil. And here I'm about to finally, now when you do this and you're actually getting it with your hand, make sure you use a rag of some sort. Here I am using a towel to grab and finally get this thing to break free and rotate. And it pops off. And as you can see, there is a lot of residue on both pieces. As I shut the heat off there, you can see, you actually see blue plastic stuck onto the orange ring here. And even from this distance, you can see where the blaster shell is sitting. You can see tons and tons of residue. As I go over as I'm motioning with my hand, and the plastic's so soft there, you can see I show how it bent. And again, there is a lot of residue. But that is actually how to properly remove solvent welded pieces. Hopefully this is helpful to you in your modding. This is Mongoose Jake. Hope you enjoyed this.